Hey guys, welcome back to another video of the guiding hands. Today it's me, Kevin, and yeah, behind me, as you can see, there is a piano. And so for today, I'm going to give some tips that will help you become a good pianist. Alright, so let's get on the piano itself, okay? As you can see below, there are a bunch of notes and or keys, piano keys as I say. Maybe you might not know what they mean. For now, try to narrow your vision a bit. This is middle C. This is treble C. Together, these and all the notes between it, all the white notes there are only 8 notes, and so we call this octave. Oct for 8, like octagon, okay? So this is middle C, this is treble C, and it goes higher and higher up. The more you play piano, the more you realize that there's a certain shape to things. Overall, as you can see here, ignoring this C, because that expands to the next octave, these 7 notes, there are 7 white notes and 5 black notes. And this pattern just keeps on repeating until each side of the piano. I don't know where each one ends, but ends somewhere. So yeah. So this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, as you can see here. And so between each white note is the step that I keep referring to. That's bad posture. In general, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you flip like that, okay? These black notes, whenever you go from a white note to a black note, it's referred to as a half step. If you go up a half step, it's a sharp. If you go down, it's a flat. And as before, if you didn't know, E does not have a sharp, not really exactly. If you go up a half step, there is no half step. It's just a full step to F. So E to F really is a step. And so E sharp would be F and F flat would be E, okay? Same thing goes for C here. C has a sharp, but it does not have a flat. B has a flat, but it doesn't have a sharp. So half a step down for C would be B. Half a step down would also be the same thing, okay? B sharp would just be C, and C flat would just be B. So if you ever see like C flat, F flat, E sharp, or B sharp, that just means to play on the white notes, okay? All right. Now, when you're playing, most of the time treble, the lower C on the treble clef, where it's on the line below the first line, this is middle C right here. There is also a line above the highest line in the bass clef. That is also middle C. That is this note here. And basically, the bass clef usually represents your left hand right here, and your treble clef represents the right hand. So yeah, typically most songs range from middle, treble, high, and very high is very rare. Okay. As for your left hand does use middle at times, even goes higher, but rarely. Most of the time it's at bass, middle, lower, and yeah, it's rare. It rarely goes lower than that. So yeah, there you go. All right, moving on now. Let's go to posture. First of all, it's very important that you set your seat properly. Okay, make sure it's at a comfortable distance. Usually, I don't really have any preference. It's usually arranged. Sometimes you might want your hands have a little closer. Sometimes maybe you want to make your hands a bit more straight. Either way, just choose what makes you comfort. Make sure you try to sit at 90 degrees. Obviously, let your body. Don't try to slouch. Try to have good posture. And yeah, it's more comfortable when your feet are touching the ground as well. Okay, next up, one of the most important things is your hand shape, okay? Now, if you don't have piano, you might if you've never played piano before, you might lay your hand just flat like this, and play like that. Maybe you might press like that or anything like that. But if you really want to get into piano, the correct posture would be this. Now, if you really don't know how to do that, here is an analogy for it, okay? Imagine your hand is like alive, basically. This would be it laying flat. This is basically it standing up. And so you want your hand to be in a position where it's essentially standing up, almost like you're trying to grip a ball, but maybe not that tightly, okay? Make sure you relax your hand, obviously, and your wrist. Now, when you press down the note, you want to lift your finger as high as possible and simply just press down. And try to lift each individual finger as high as possible. On the forefinger, it's hard to lift your forefinger alone, so usually people just lift 4 and 5 at the same time. And then back again. On the way back, you might lift the 3 and 4 finger. 3, 2, 1. Another essential tip toward playing piano is that try to only use half of your fingertip. I know that sounds difficult, and there's like a certain region where it counts as a fingertip, but try to use like half of it maybe, not a lot, somewhere between the fingernail and your actual finger itself. You want to try and make that the point of contact, because the less amount of surface area that your finger takes on the piano, the faster you'll be able to play it. If you need your whole finger to play a note, then it's going to be really slow. And so that's why what my teacher always calls it is do half finger. So only use half a finger when you play. And so that will help you play faster. Now I know when you play piano that maybe it might not feel as comfortable at first. Yeah, it always depends on your hand form and hand shape. Your hand might not be used to the piano when you first start, so it's something to get used to. In addition, don't be afraid if you feel like playing the 4 or 5 note is a bit difficult for you. Maybe the sound is a bit weak because in general, these are fingers we don't use too often, and so it's no surprise that they might be weaker than the rest when you play with it. And finally, if you really want to play half finger, the best thing to do is keep your nails short. Make sure you cut them every 1 to 2 weeks. And because playing piano with long nails is very uncomfortable. And let's move on. Yeah, so those are my main tips for how to be a good pianist. Some last ending tips I would give you. Firstly, if you really want to get into it, find a teacher, familiarize yourself more with the instrument, because they'll ultimately push you and help you improve yourself and give you tips, and perhaps they'll prepare you for some great events and performances you might do. In addition, I would say a big problem always has been motivation to practice on this thing. Sometimes you just don't feel like it, and sometimes that is okay. My piano teacher always told me to practice 1 hour a day. I didn't do that most of the time. Unless before an examination, you might want to familiarize yourself. A tip I would give is that even if you don't practice 1 hour a day, try to practice enough that you familiarize yourself, whether it's you want to move on to the next song or you have a big performance. Make sure that you're comfortable with playing to whoever. Motivation has been a big problem for me, and but even if you just play 15-20 minutes a day, if you just have weekly classes and that's what you're preparing for at the end of the day, then I think it's enough, because every day you familiarize yourself better with one of your songs, and you get to know your song better, and maybe you prepare yourself better. But obviously for examinations, you might want to practice a bit more, familiar yourself a bit more, and sometimes when I played my songs, I practiced them so much that it almost felt like second nature, like almost felt robotic, and sometimes you don't even need to focus, but sometimes you even need to focus even more because maybe the song's too complicated, and maybe it's your first time, and so you really need to keep up with your sight reading. One last thing I'd like to mention is how piano has really challenged me during sometimes. It really helps you work under pressure when you really feel it. For example, when you're practicing alone, you might be able to play some parts really well, and you might be like, oh yeah, this is really familiar. But the moment that you perform maybe for someone, in front of someone, even from your teacher, if you don't feel like as comfortable as you are with them as yourself, then obviously you're gonna feel a bit of pressure or even a bit of stress. Like maybe your hands are shaking, maybe they're sweating, your palms are sweaty. I know my palms sweat when I practice in front of my teacher. I got very nervous, but yeah, ultimately this stress is good for you because it helps you perform. And so don't be afraid to try different things around your teacher, especially because I always felt a bit nervous or even intimidated by my teacher. But honestly, don't be. Try new things, and yeah, because ultimately they're there to help you, and you would rather make this mistake in front of them so that they can help you correct it than make it during some concert or examination. Ultimately, they're there for advice, and so yeah. But piano is a great place to prove yourself. It's a great place to challenge yourself, to put yourself in situations you're not necessarily comfortable with. And I think that's one of my favorite things about playing piano overall. It's about getting yourself under pressure, learning from not being able to perform under it, and trying to find new ways of how you can perform under it. So there you go. Whether it's listening to your teacher's advice, trying to alter a bit, change things, change practicing methods, and yeah. So that is my last tip for today. And so yeah, hopefully you found this video useful. And if you didn't, I probably took a couple minutes away from your life. But yeah, enjoy.